Good morning. Glad you could tune in. Hey, I want to share some things that I picked up from Max Lucado's latest book, God Never Gives Up on You. Do you believe that? So there are times where we get upset at God. Max tells the story that it was a long time ago. It was 1985, and he had returned to Texas, and he had returned from being a missionary, and he was really mad at God because, see, he had this deal with God. The deal was, I will go to the mission field in Rio de Janeiro, even though my dad is ill. His dad was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. But the deal was, I'm going to go serve God, and God's going to heal my dad, and it's going to be a great testimony. A lot of people are going to put their faith in Christ because of that. And so he comes home to see his dad because his dad's dying. And he pretty much goes out in the oil field to stomp around and complain to God. And he says, God, I went to Brazil, right? And there's silence. And he's like, I relocated my family, right? And there's silence. I did what I said I would do. Again, God's not responding. Then why won't you heal my father? And again, there's silence. See, the problem was that he had sort of this deal with God. Only God hadn't signed it. Max had signed it, but God hadn't. I don't have time to go into the whole story, but that's what Jacob did. You do all these things for me, and then, I'll come through for you. And in essence, that's what Max was saying. You may have come to a point like this in your life. I know that I did years and years and years ago, where I guess was not seeing anyone else from my family choosing Jesus. And I saw other people's prayers being answered, and that wasn't working. And it was not easy, but I had to go through a time where I just said, Lord, if they don't, I'm still going to follow. I had to get the truth of this, that I can't make a deal with God. God, you either do this or I won't do what I'm supposed to do. No, we simply are called to do our end of the deal. We sometimes don't fully realize, maybe, we won't realize who we're really dealing with till we get to heaven, until we're in eternity. But in the Lord's Prayer, it says, hallowed be thy name. That's not a word we use a whole lot. It's kind of tied in with the Halloween holiday that's coming up. But the word hallowed means holy, which means different, other than, unique, separated. So, a couple things that Max mentions. Think about God. Gravity does not pull him down. Oh, it pulls me down. It seems like it gets stronger every year. Pain does not plague him. The economy, it doesn't faze God one bit. The weather, he's not checking the forecast. It doesn't disturb him one bit. Elections, he's not too worried about that. Diseases, he's never had an infection. And you know what? Death can't claim him. God is other than we are. So one final thing. When Max was in 4th grade, his brother had an ant farm. It was like a foot square, a couple inches thick, whatever, and it was plexiglass squeezed together. And he said this one day, he wouldn't believe it, because he felt like he was God, the Most High, to these ants. One day, one of the ants, to his surprise, started talking to him. Yeah, I know, it's pretty kooky. It was a really high-pitched, squeaky voice, said Max, and he looked away from his textbook, and it says, Max, I want to make a swap with you. The ant wants to make a deal. So he glanced at his brother to make sure it wasn't a trick. It wasn't. The ant was talking to him. Max says, what do you mean? I want to be promoted to the king of the anthill. You make that happen for me, and I'll give you a piece of dirt. He pointed to a fleck on which he was standing. And Max says, I don't want your dirt. I'll give you a breadcrumb, he countered. And Max says, I don't want your breadcrumb. Besides, I gave you the crumb to begin with. This went on for several minutes. He promised me a vacation with a 2-bedroom ant tunnel condo. Finally, I told him, quit bugging me. Yeah, that's what he said. He says, you don't get it. You have nothing that I need. I have everything you need. Your farm exists because I want it to exist. Well, the ant went away in a huff, and he said, I don't believe in Max anymore. He became an ant-theist. Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever by Max. I think you get the point. God doesn't need anything that we have. It's a privilege that we get to partner with him. And if we recognize who he really is, we don't want to make any deals with God. We want to simply offer ourselves to him and trust him. You know what? Max's dad wasn't healed the way he wanted to be, but Max is confident that when his father, he'd say, I got the ultimate healing when I got to heaven. God bless you. Have a great day.